Welcome to this episode of Leaders of Lasting Impact. My name is Matthew Pohl, and I'm the host today. I have Lee Mulberry, who's an advisor with the Rewild Group, and we're just glad to have him on board. Lee has a real passion for small and mid-sized businesses, and we just want to share a little bit of his story today. Lee, can you tell us, maybe start off with just a little bit about your background in business, prior to getting into kind of advisor services?
Sure. I spent over 25 years in senior leadership of the telecom companies. We were supplying product to the actual phone companies. And then I also spent 4 years with IBM Global Services as a principal in the consulting group, working in the telecom field. And I've had my consulting company since 2005. One of the things I did for a period there also was I was an executive forum leader with Renaissance Executive Forums, where we got CEOs in a room once a month, and they acted as advisory boards and peer-to-peer help, which was very informative and interesting to deal with small to medium-sized business owners in an intimate setting where they were very candid, very open, very vulnerable, which was very helpful in additional training for my consulting business.
Okay.
That's where I became aware of Rewild. One of the members had worked with you and brought you into the forums, and so that's how I got to know you.
Okay, sounds good. So in the executive roles within larger corporations, it sounds like you're more in the sales or operations. What kind of functional areas were you involved in?
Through most of my career with telecom, it was in the sales field, the marketing and sales. And then after I left IBM Global Services, I was a general manager for a small company because I wanted to get the P&L responsibility that I had not had. So 4 years of being a GM was very, very informative and was a really great experience.
What kind of business was that you were the general manager of?
That would specialized tools and tool cases business, and with all kinds of trades, with electricians and plumbers and just about everything you can think of. It was a terrific business.
Okay. What was the impetus to leave the corporate environment and go more to that small and mid-sized business as a GM and then as a peer group leader? What was the cause of that transition for you?
Well, with IBM, I really enjoyed a lot of the work that we did, but I had been with big business for over 25 years at that point, and there was a lot of things about it that are really fun and exciting, but the bureaucracies got to me. And I decided that I wanted to go into small business and with an eye on consulting because of the success I had had with IBM. But I felt I needed that experience at the small business level.
Okay.
And so the 4 years with Tekra actually really spurred me on to want to help and work with small business owners because I really enjoyed that.
Okay. And then that peer group experience that really took you, like you said, into a very confidential, intimate conversations with a group of CEOs, business owners, really, on a regular basis. Was that what's one of your takeaways that came out of that time in your career?
You're right. That was a really unique experience because it's the way that they're set up. It's very confidential. There's no competitors in the room. There is a lot of accountability, partnership going on. There's a lot of tough love going on.
Okay.
And there's a lot of candor in the room because they regularly reported on issues that they were having and then asked for help and suggestions. And so the vulnerability was something that, for you to be a good member, you needed to be willing to be vulnerable and willing to ask for help and also give help. And so that kind of environment was, again, a perfect, a proving ground for me relative to consulting, because I could see how their minds worked. I could see where they were. Some of the really, really competent people would have blind spots and would have issues with parts of managing that they just weren't familiar with. They had tremendous confidence and even an arrogance that got them where they are, but also led to some blind spots in their either their management style or in their organizational structure and design. And it helped me recognize those situations much more clearly. And to also, to be quite candid again, help me get past the deflection that you always run into when you're talking to somebody about helping them with their business. Because it's really difficult for a business owner to admit when they've made mistakes or when they have problems, because they feel personal about that. And that becomes a bit problematic. And so part of that is explaining to them that that's normal. It's very, very difficult to be great at all things. And to be able to have the comfort in yourself and the confidence that you can ask for help and get that it's monumental.
Yeah.
Where I have difficulties with any potential client is when they don't have that confidence level that they can admit that they need help and then accept it. That's where the trouble comes. When you have run into people that say, yeah, I'm really, really good, but I'm not great at everything. I need some help. Those are the people that are wonderful to work with.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's right. And, it is kind of it's a bundled package, right? CEOs, they start businesses, they run businesses because they have a lot of confidence, because they've learned to rely upon themselves. But yeah, that ability to also see that there are potential gaps or areas of weakness on top of all the areas of strength, right? That the organization has, and being willing to say, hey, this is just not my strength. It's not what I'm naturally good at. I could use some help there. Yeah, that's a big thing to be able to admit. You talked about getting exposed to organizational rewilding while you're doing the peer groups. Then at some point you made a decision to go ahead and, kind of go all in with organizational rewilding. What was kind of the catalyst for that?
The way it was introduced was by one of the CEOs that had worked with rewilding and was extremely pleased with it. So that was a credibility boost right there, and that allowed me to go into investigation about rewild without some of the skepticism that might normally be present.
Right.
And then looking through the material on the stages of growth, reading the managing the growth curve or navigating the growth curve, that was certainly a big deal. And then just seeing the methodology laid out in the format and all the supporting materials and the thought process that was behind it, and the support that was available from headquarters. The way that the advisor program was set up, and that kind of thing. It was very professional and very. It just made a lot of sense. It was logical. I've looked at a lot of different companies that offer help to consultants in different methodologies and processes, and nothing came close to either the methodology or the support framework that organizational wilding provides.
Okay.
And then the offer to do the training to become a certified advisor, and the way that work was portrayed and delivered, and then each one of the elements or each one of the engagement trainings. Just made a lot of sense. I love the multimedia teaching style, the multimodal. I
Yeah.
think that's very powerful.
Yeah. Okay. Um, you said you looked at other methodologies. I mean, what in particular advantage do you feel that organizational rewilding provides you in the marketplace? To differentiate yourself, or just on what you're able to accomplish?
Um, I guess this sounds a little goofy, but there's no uh, gimmickry to it. It's not a gimmick. It's not you have to come in and buy all in, and you have to spend a whole bunch of money, and it's all soup to nuts and that kind of thing. It can be broken up into discrete engagements based upon the key systemic elements, or it can be more of an inclusive one, but on this level. And so that it gives you the ability to go in and really seek out what the issues are within that company and what the problems are, and then determine whether or not you think you can be of help. And then when you can, you've got a really nice set of options to offer as solutions.
Okay.
And they're packaged in a way that the people know upfront exactly what they're getting, and they know what they're going to pay for it. And I really like that. No
Right.
surprises in terms of what they're buying. And we can get a real clear definition of success before we start. And I think that's probably one of the best parts of it, is that the people know what they're getting, and they'll know when they're happy.
Okay.
Makes for a good engagement.
Is there a particular feature about organizational rewilding that kind of bubbles up to the top of, this is something that you really appreciate about this methodology and being certified in it?
Absolutely. The stages of growth methodology and the matrix, where you can lay out the different stages based upon the number of employees, is so logical and based upon such good research, and it's logical. And when you take people through it, you can see them resonating with the different points, and the fact that it shows them it's predictive in saying this is what could happen to you in the future. It's diagnostic by saying here's the things that you didn't pay attention to or you haven't gone far enough with, and
Right.
then it's prescriptive with the okay, here's the situation you're in now, here's what we can do to get you up to where you need to be prepared for that growth that you're looking for.
Okay. What are some of the common challenges as you're interacting with business leaders, business owners? Um, what are some of the common challenges you're hearing them say that's kind of a flag to you about, hey, this sounds like organizational rewilding could be a good fit? Is there a few that kind of, show up more frequently than others?
But yeah, there's a couple of them. One of the most common is that I seem to be successful at growing the top line, but I'm struggling in getting it to fall to the bottom in profit. There just
Okay.
always seems to be so many things in the way. And that certainly is indicative of some organizational design or process, some lack of quality control, a bunch of different issues there. But that's a very frequent one.
Okay.
Another one is, I was able to grow the company up to 30 people, and then I dropped back down. And then I'd be able to grow it up, and I dropped back down. And it just seemed to be more of a roller coaster than it was a nice progression up.
Right.
And that certainly is an indication that they don't have their processes and procedures in place, nor the right management team to handle the additional growth.
Right.
Uh, and so and when they say we're not getting our products out on time, we don't get new products out, or we don't seem to be able to anticipate quality problems. We're getting so many complaints from our customer on inconsistency.
Okay.
Those are some of the things that really trigger me to say, those are things I can really help you with.
Okay, cool. Um, our audience, they always like to hear stories, right? Stories of actual success. We've talked a little bit about the theory, what your journey was like, but would you be able to share a story of a client you worked with that you see you've had a long lasting impact on that client?
Yeah, my best story is with um, a woman that owned a commercial app development company, and she had people here in the U.S., but she also had a large contingent that were offshore that
Mhm.
did the actual development work. So her management was very complex and very different because she had American people that had a culture. She had people in India that had a different culture, and then a couple of other countries. And so she had a lot of issues with the language she was capable of using and how the methodology for managing and things like that. And so her life was pretty complex. And so we went through the coaching engagement, and we did it on a pretty rapid basis. We did 2 sessions a month, and we started in December, and it actually ended up taking about 16 months to go through it because we added a different things. What I told her was anytime she wanted to add some of her people in to talk about a specific issue, we can do that. And
Mhm.
so we did that 3 or 4 times where it was a specific issue that she needed to have fixed.
Okay.
Uh, and she had trouble with the quoting process and scope creep. That was a huge problem, things like
Sure.
that. Um, and about April, we were sitting there after we had done the session, and she looked at me and she said, "Lee, you're saving me and you're saving my business. I really appreciate it." Uh,
Wow.
and that, I mean, that's just incredibly powerful. It was just quite a wonderful moment to know that what we were doing between the Rewild program and Lee, we were helping this woman in
Yeah.
her business. And that and in fact we'll probably get another engagement with her not far after the first of the year.
Okay. Outstanding. Um, if you were sitting across the table from a business owner having a coffee, uh, and you had a word of advice to that business owner, what would be kind of a general thing that you could point them to that you think might be valuable to them?
I'd have to answer that in a couple different ways. If I was looking to that person as a potential client, I would say to them that um, take an honest self-assessment of what things that you're really good at and what things that you're not, and have you backstop those areas in which you could use help, or are there things that you want to move more quickly on and outside help could really be of benefit, and look at things that have happened and they keep reoccurring,
Mm.
or are you in a situation where you feel like you're playing whack-a-mole
Right.
and you're dealing with the problems on the surface level, and you kind of band-aid them, and then something else happens and it keeps coming back. So I would look at it that way. If I were talking to somebody just from a standpoint of being willing to give them some advice, um, it would be to ask them, do you have a roadmap for growth? Do you have a way to measure what kind of things you should be doing, and what should you be proficient at now, and what can you leave until later? Because as you well know, what you say no to do is as important as what you say yes. So
Right.
knowing that there are certain pieces of business that a business process that you don't have to be great at yet is a peace of mind, and you can spend your time working on the right things.
Right.
And so I would ask them, do you have something like that that helps guide you so that you know you're spending your time in the right places? Because I think a lot of us business owners, you're always concerned. There's usually no problem in staying busy. The issue is, are you being effective? Are you
Mm.
using your time in the right place? And so having some type of a set of guideposts that give you that is invaluable.
Right. Right. No, and that's a big challenge for business owners, right? There's so much ambiguity in what a business owner faces, so much unknown that having maybe one area of the business or a roadmap that help provides guidance across the business I would think would be very powerful to, like you said, help focus them on what needs to be done today versus what could be let go of and dealt with at a later stage. So,
Yeah, one of the other things about it too is um, you really want your people to have confidence in you. And sometimes you don't know exactly what's going to happen, but if you have the right roadmap that says, you know what, when you get to this size, here are a couple things that are going to happen, and it's going to make things difficult for you. If you can use that and give your people a forewarning that, look, as we grow, we're going to run into some of these problems. I don't want you to worry. We'll be able to get through that. You know, it's kind of like the hero's journey, that knowing that these things are going to happen to you and that you're going to make it through because you know the processes that you have to deal with. That can be huge in terms of keeping employee confidence, which is directly linked to their productivity and effectiveness and efficiency. And I think that's another part of it that I really like, that I use in my selling process.
Okay. Okay, Lee, we appreciate you sharing your story, your journey, what you've taken away from organizational rewilding and how that's impacted small and mid-sized businesses in your part of the world. If people would like to reach out to you and connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Two easy ways. One is my LinkedIn profile, and look under the contact information, I have all of that. And then my website is northernstarconsult.com.
northernstarconsult.com. Okay. And we'll put those links in our notes for the podcast. Again, Lee, thanks for joining us, and encourage folks that are struggling with some of the ideas or challenges that Lee mentioned, reach out to him. And we appreciate our listeners for joining us for another podcast episode of Leaders of Lasting Impact. And we hope that you'll join us in the future. Thanks.